The NBA, as well as the entire sport of basketball, has seen a tremendous evolution over the last 10 to 15 years. And perhaps no other position in basketball has demanded more evolution than the big men of our sport. Long gone are the days where teams prioritized height and strength over everything, as modern bigs are now required to shoot and defend the perimeter if they want to make it to the top. Join us now as we take a look at the top 10 big men in today's NBA. Number 10. Draymond Green. Draymond Green is without a doubt one of the most opinion-dividing players in NBA history. Some people believe he's really good and one of the best defenders we've ever seen, while others believe he's simply a glorified bum, and there are usually not many people in between. Love him or hate him, it's undeniable he's one of the most impactful players of this era. Without him, the Warriors couldn't build their dominant dynasty. As revolutionary and dangerous as Stephen Curry is on offense, Green's defense is one of the biggest reasons why Golden State became such a scary draw on any given night. And even though he isn't playing at that level at this moment, he's still among the top 10 big men in the NBA. Unless you're only looking at basic box score stats, nobody can deny Green's impact on the game. He's the best passing big ever not named Nikola Jokic, and his defense is also at all-time great levels. It's true that Draymond isn't nearly as impactful without teammates that can finish his plays or recover when he calls for switches, but when he's motivated and playing winning basketball, his footprints are all over the Warriors' success. Number 9. Nikola Vucevic. Despite being one of the most offensively gifted big men in the NBA for the last couple seasons, Nikola Vucevic has often been snubbed when talking about the league's top bigs because he played for one of the most mediocre franchises in the Orlando Magic. And it's funny because mediocre is the perfect word. The Magic have squeaked into the playoffs as one of the East's last two seeds in 2019 and 2020 and gotten dispatched in 5 games. Orlando hasn't been good enough to make noise in the postseason, nor bad enough to earn a high enough pick in the draft and recover. Just mediocre. But Vucevic has been far from mediocre, and as one of the Magic's few bright spots over these years, he's actually on his way to making history. No center has ever shot over 42% from 3 on more than 5 attempts per game, and this season Vucevic is right at 42% on 6.3 trays per game. Also, assuming Nikola's scoring rate keeps up, he'd also become the first center ever to average over 23 points with fewer than 2 fouls and 2 turnovers per game. Long story short, Vooch is efficiency personified, and one of the best big man scorers in the world. Number 8. Zion Williamson. You didn't believe the Zion Williamson hype before he entered the NBA? Well, we'll say it got annoying to see sports pages posting Zion's every move leading up to the 2019 NBA draft. But Williamson didn't get all that hype for nothing, as he's also on his way to finishing with historically great numbers not only for big men, but for all players in the history of basketball. At the time of this video, Zion's averaging 26.7 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 3.6 assists on 61.5% shooting from the field. Nobody has ever posted a stat line like this one, with efficiency being the key differentiator. Also, assuming his scoring keeps up at a similar level until the end of the year, Williamson will finish his season with the highest points per game average among players who shot 60+% from the field. He's also the player with the highest field goal percentage in NBA history among those with 15+ field goal attempts per game, solidifying him as arguably the most efficient high-volume scorer ever. And don't forget, this is just his second season in the league. Zion still has a way to go on the defensive end, which is the reason why he isn't higher on the list despite having an all-time great season, but you can bet he'll be much higher in just a couple of seasons. Number 7. Bam Adebayo. There's nobody else in the league right now, and perhaps nobody else in the history of basketball, who can defend all 5 positions with excellence. It's not uncommon to see big men excel at defending the rim, but get ridiculed once they're switched onto smaller guards in the perimeter. Well, that's not happening with Bam Adebayo, as he's going to be a nightmare on anybody. The versatility, paired with Adebayo's improved and more consistent offensive efforts, is one of the main reasons the Miami Heat managed to make the NBA Finals. Bam was the key to stopping Giannis Antetokounmpo in the second round, then Jason Tatum in the conference finals. Adebayo was having the best season of his career in 2021, with averages of 19 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 5.2 assists on 56.6% shooting from the field. Bam's archetype is exactly what NBA executives are desperately looking for, and give the Miami Heat credit for their vision to draft him at 14th overall in the 2017 draft. He's only 23 now and will only get better, so again, don't be surprised if you find him higher in the big men ranks soon enough. Number 6. Rudy Gobert. The controversial Rudy Gobert. Every time someone brings up his name in basketball discussions, you're guaranteed to hear that he's overrated or that he didn't deserve his 5-year, $205 million contract. And it's cool if you feel that way. But it's hard to argue with results. The Utah Jazz have built a legit scary Western Conference contender with Donovan Mitchell powering their offense and Rudy Gobert anchoring their defense. Like it or not, Gobert is one of the most prolific rim protectors of the modern era, and one of the few traditional big men that has managed to survive and thrive in a league that values versatility and spacing. But how has Gobert, out of the many talented big men that used to dominate, outlasted them all? 2 words: specialization and adaptability. The Stifle Tower is a specialist inside the paint. He's the most prolific shot blocker in our game. Additionally, he's turned himself into a valuable offensive piece that doesn't need to score to be effective for his team, unlike many of the other traditional centers. His screens and rolls to the basket are more than enough. Talent-wise, he's still behind a few candidates, but Rudy deserves a lot of credit for both the impact on his team and as an individual. Number 5. KarlAnthony Towns. This season, KarlAnthony Towns' performances have fallen off a bit, but don't get it wrong. Cat is the most gifted big man scorer we've ever seen. And as historically great as we've made some of the big men in our list look today, that's no hyperbole, and the same can be said about Towns. Before injuries limited him to only 35 games and the virus took away his mother in the 2019-2020 season, Towns was on his way to the most offensively impressive season ever for a big man. He was averaging 26.5 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 4.4 assists on 50.8% shooting from the field, and an absolutely ridiculous 41.2% from three-point range on 8 attempts per game last season. Yeah, that's a 7-footer taking and making threes at the rate of a sharpshooting guard. Unfortunately, the death of his mother plus a couple of injuries have derailed his efficiency this year, bringing his averages down to 25 points, 11 rebounds, and 4.6 assists on 49.5% shooting from the field, and 40.2% from three-point range. Notice how this stat line is still elite for a center, but looks like a downfall compared to his previous season standards. Much like Nikola Jokic, Cat's defense is still relatively poor for a big. Fortunately for him, Cat has the physical tools to make it there and become quite a solid defender. But to do so, and to become a top 3 big in the NBA, he needs to demand a trade from Minnesota. Losing is really affecting his mental game, and a new scenario will hopefully help him slowly move on from his mother's passing too, so he can reach his full potential. Number 4. Anthony Davis. At one point not too long ago, Anthony Davis was widely considered the best big man in the NBA. But a combination of injuries and other players rising up to the competition have weakened his case for the big man throne. Numbers-wise, this is Davis's weakest season since his sophomore year, as he holds averages of 22.5 points, 8.9 rebounds, and 3 assists on 53.3% shooting from the field and 29.3% from 3. Now, when fully healthy, AD is unquestionably the most complete and dominant big man in the NBA. Nobody can replicate his impact on both ends of the floor, something we saw in full effect during the 2020 playoffs inside the NBA bubble, when Davis helped the Lakers win the 2020 NBA championship. We can cut the brow some slack for his injuries this season, given he and the Lakers had very little time to rest between winning their title and the beginning of the new season. LeBron James was also forced to sit out a long stretch due to injuries for the same reason. But as good as Davis is, he can't help his team while he's sitting on the bench, and the recurring theme with him appears to be he's often injured. He's sitting at 4 for now, but moving forward, health will be a key factor in determining whether he'll go up or down. Number 3. Joel Embiid. Even though nobody can replicate Anthony Davis's impact on both ends of the floor, Joel Embiid is as close as you can get. He was well on his way to the 2021 League MVP award before injuries derailed him, but he's had a very impressive season that deserves attention either way. Embiid's averaging 30 points, 11.1 rebounds, and 3 assists on 51.6% shooting from the field and 37.9% from three-point land. The sudden emergence of a consistent three-ball has changed the dynamic of JoJo's game, as the opposition is now forced to guarding him tight on the perimeter. The question is, can he keep this up for a couple more years? Unfortunately for him, he hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt given his team's shortcomings in the NBA playoffs. Despite looking like the Philadelphia 76ers had it all to be more successful in the postseason, that hasn't been the case. The Sixers were swept twice between 2018 and 2020, with Embiid's production notably declining in the bigger stage. Still, there's no denying he's becoming more dangerous as he enters the prime of his career, as he has many more dominant seasons ahead of him. Number 2. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis Antetokounmpo is one of the most impressive players we've ever seen from different angles. His statistical dominance is ridiculous. His body transformation from a long, thin teenager to a Greek freak made him nearly unrecognizable. and the way he destroys everyone on his way to the rim is for sure a sight to see. But for multiple reasons, Antetokounmpo has been deciphered and neutralized in the NBA playoffs multiple times already, which hurts his case as the best player in the league. I mean, he's won back-to-back league MVPs and absolutely dominates everybody in the regular season, which is why he's in the best player in the world conversation right now. But people fail to truly buy it because of his playoff shortcomings. Like Embiid, he has many more years to prove he can really be that guy. But for now, he's still one of the best big men in the NBA. He's actually the best, only behind number 1, Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is the frontrunner for the 2021 MVP award and is putting on impressive performance after impressive performance. The Joker is almost averaging a triple-double at 26.1 points, 11 rebounds, and 8.8 assists per game while shooting 56.7% from the field and 42.2% from three-point land. Jokic has been the best player in the league this season alongside Stephen Curry. And the way he's led the Nuggets' transformation from a young team with scary upside to a legitimate Western Conference contender deserves a ton of credit. He's the anchor of everything Denver does on offense and has shown improvements on the defensive end too. He leads the team in points, assists, rebounds, steals, field goal percentage, and games played. It's a shame that Jamal Murray's unfortunate left ACL tear drastically decreased their chances at the 2021 NBA title, but the Nuggets know they have something special, and it all starts with Jokic, the uncrowned 2021 League MVP and the best big man in the NBA. And these are the top 10 big men in the NBA right now. Honorable mentions go out to Domantas Sabonis, Julius Randle, and Pascal Siakam, who are all still very talented but aren't in top 10 territory quite yet. Do you agree with our list? What would you change? Let us know in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel.